Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. We're looking at the basic infrastructure of roads, healthcare, water, wastewater, and education, and all the other needs of a civilization that's going from 7 to 9 billion people by 2050. But one of the key elements of any quality of life, of course, is housing. And we have someone with us who's been working on housing issues in Washington, D.C., but as part of a global organization, Habitat for Humanity. This is Susan V. Slater. Yes. She is the president and CEO of Habitat for Humanity in Washington, D.C. And Susan, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Tell us just a little bit about Habitat itself, maybe a little bit of its history and how it came to be in Washington, D.C.
In Washington, D.C., okay. First of all, Habitat for Humanity is 25 years old in Washington, D.C. We started out very slowly. We're a nonprofit where we were building just 5, 6, 7 houses a year, and we've now accelerated quite a bit. We're what's called a 501c3, which means that we're tax exempt, and we rely very heavily on volunteer labor and donations, and build homes for people who are in need.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic. As I've told you in years past, we work with Habitat and other localities, and uniformly when you meet people, there's the same enthusiasm, the same zeal to reach out to the public and bring people in that have a real need, but also the same zeal from the volunteers. And I know that here you have actually hundreds of volunteers.
We usually have anywhere between 3,500 and 5,000 volunteers.
That is absolutely fantastic, and that's a great commitment by the community, but also its commitment to their humankind right here within the city. So it's really a wonderful thing. Also, too, I understand that people actually contribute. They work on their own house that they're going to be going into. So.
Yes, every individual who is a candidate for our program is asked to do 300 hours of sweat equity. But before they do their sweat equity, they are put through quite a rigorous home ownership program. This involves all sorts of work on trying to get their personal budgets in place, how to put their finances in shape. Generally speaking, we look for employment of at least 2 years. They work on things like their credit scores and so forth, because owning a home is even at a very low cost, is still a major financial commitment.
Well, I think this is something that Habitat really prides itself on. It's really reaching into the community. It's helping those in need, but also making them realize the commitment that they're making is not the fact of just showing up and moving into a place, but as you're saying, there's much that needs to be done on the financial side, but also the understanding of and how to even take care of a house, because many people have never done that before.
Exactly. It's not like just calling and complaining to the landlord about something that's gone amiss. What happens with the 300 hours of sweat equity is the homeowner gets to learn about every aspect of the house.
And we're going to bring up a few photographs here that's been provided by Habitat. So if we can bring up the slides, and we'll share those as we're going through. But anyway, looking at as far as the houses themselves, I know that you're really emphasizing now energy efficiency and looking at the very best products possible to go into these. So looking at what's some of the things that you're doing, how can you build and sell the houses at a more effective rate than, say, regular general developers within the community?
Well, first of all, we're a nonprofit. So a normal developer expects to make a profit off of building. We are tax-exempt 501c3 nonprofit. We seek essentially to break even. Mm-hmm. That's for starters. The second thing is we get tremendous in-kind and cash donations from corporations, from the Rotary Club, from Home Depot Foundation, from National Geographic, from Whirlpool. The appliances are donated by Whirlpool, for example. The lumber is donated.
Right. It's just incredible the support that you have in the community. And looking at the roof here, I know that you're taking these and making them very, not only just energy efficient, but also they can produce their own energy by having the solar panels, and in trying to reduce or even eliminate the costs as far as the power is concerned.
Exactly. We have put solar panels on a lot of our habitat houses. As a matter of fact, there are there's an enclave of 53 habitat houses in Northeast Washington where up to about half of the people have put solar panels on their homes.
That is absolutely incredible. And of course, in these days when we're trying to reduce the impact on the climate and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the habitat really is taking a lead in all of this as far as being able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but also allow the homeowners to be able to produce their own electricity.
Well, it's exciting that you're going to hear from Parsons, because I have to give a lot of credit to Parsons, the new school, because they got us involved in the passive house. But before that, we were very focused on energy efficiency. We built to the Earthcraft standard and to LEED standards and a number of other different kinds of standards that are germane to energy efficiency.
Well, the whole thing about it, Susan, is you've really been moving forward at a very steady pace, learning the technologies, the building materials, and all the processes that go in, because these homes are now becoming quite complex, and we're going to see that in other slides that we have. So why is energy efficiency so important to the people, the individuals that you're bringing into these homes?
Well, the idea of affordability has to do with how much income and how much cash a low-income family has. If that income is being diverted to energy costs, which have been going up and up and up, whether it's electricity, gas, whatever, to heat and cool their homes, that is a deterrent to being able to maintain their mortgage payment. So we are very focused on combining energy efficiency, high levels of energy efficiency, with the idea of homeownership and affordable homeownership.
Yeah, well, I tell you though, and we've talked about this just a few minutes ago, but really you've gone that third step where now they're actually generating their own power for these houses. That is really exciting, and that's something that is a best practice. As you know, Emerald Planet is worldwide.
Yes.
That we're sharing worldwide is that you don't need to just be plugged into the grid, but you can actually be more independent.
Right. There's a lot to do with everybody's local utility, however. I don't want to make it sound too simple. You don't
it's not simple at all.
You don't put a solar panel up and then, you know,
right,
have it all work. We've had to work with the people in the District of Columbia, with PEPCO, the major electric utility, on how to work with them in terms of getting meters that go both ways, not just measuring what's coming into the house, but being able to actually return energy to the grid. So it's a bit of a complexity, but it's a problem that's solvable, and not many of our homeowners have solved it.
You know, and that's what I was wanting to emphasize, is that yes, you have to work, and also you have the building codes of the localities. You have to work with the municipalities or the counties in which you're living and all that. But these things are all doable, and it's being done now, replicated across the United States, but even across the globe. And so Habitat really is, though, a leader in this movement as far as energy efficiency, but also energy generation.
Right. If I weren't here, I'd be on a plane to Atlanta right now, which was what we're having a Habitat affiliate conference where habitats from all over the country and some from all over the world will be talking about some of these issues.
Right. Well, looking at it, how did you become a partner with Empower House? This is under United States Department of Energy and the Solar Decathlon, and then you tied in with Parsons, with Passive House. You have some really fantastic partnerships that you've established.
Well, we were on the receiving end of a great invitation. It's very lucky that Laura Briggs and Katrin are going to be on the program here, because they were the brains behind all of this, and the students that worked with them and the faculty wanted all their work to result in real houses for real families. So they sought out to find a nonprofit to build the homes that they had designed for the Solar Decathlon. And it was literally years of work on the part of the students and faculty, as you'll hear more a little later on.
Okay. Looking at it, we have just about 1 minute left, so it goes quickly. So looking at what we're doing, and this is an opening of one of your houses, what do you think you've learned, and what can you replicate to the future houses? Because I know you have 6 coming, and then you have a great number of housing coming after that.
Right. The main thing we've learned is you've got to train your staff a lot. We've sent our staff to all kinds of passive house training seminars and so forth. And it's exciting that you'll hear more about exactly what a passive house is. It takes quite a few other extra steps to build a passive house. And our plans are to continue to build our internal capacity to not only build to this high standard, but to build more at this same level.
Well, I think what the exciting part about this, Susan, is that you're eager and excited about going on, and you're replicating this across a number of different houses now, which really is very exciting. Thank you for being with us as we come to you from Washington, D.C. This is the Emerald Planet, and we're looking around the globe at housing and how we can increase that to bring a better life for people as we expand and create the Emerald Planet.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. One had some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about freaked out life. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind.
What the gorgeous force is what you desire. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of Emerald Planet in Washington, D.C., coming to you looking at 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, the products, and of course the people are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we add 2 billion new souls to the planet, we need to look at how we're going to take care of all their needs, all the basic infrastructure, but also housing is so critical to having a quality of life that allows everything else around it as far as health care, water, food, and sanitation, everything to have its proper balance. And so we have an expert that's coming in to us from New York City and New York. This is Laura Briggs, who is the Chair of Sustainable Architecture, School of Constructed Environments, and she's going to explain what that means to us, from the Parsons, the new School of Design in New York City. And I have right beside me Susan V. Slater, who's the President, CEO, Habitat for Humanity in Washington, D.C. And Susan's going to be with me throughout this time in case we lose our Skype connection with New York. So Laura, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about the Parsons, the New School of Design. It's a very interesting name.
Yeah. So Parsons is a design school primarily, but we also are part of a larger university where social justice and issues of the environment are primary drivers for how the university is organized.
Well, I think it's, go ahead. I'm sorry, I wanted to get some slides up here as well as chatting with you, because you've given us some excellent slides as it relates to the Habitat House here in Washington, D.C. So if we can bring up the slides and keep Laura on, that would be a great thing. But looking at the Parsons, the new school, I know it has a very old history. Give us a little bit of the history, and then we'll start talking about your collaboration with Habitat.
Yeah, well, Parsons is one of the oldest design schools in the country. And, you know, most of your audience may know of it because of our fashion school, which is well known throughout the world. But we have many different design fields at Parsons, ranging from architecture to product design to digital technology to fashion. And all of those students from all those different departments actually helped on this project.
Well, I think it's fantastic, this interdisciplinary activity that you have going across all the different schools within Parsons itself. Tell us a little bit about how did you get involved with the United States Department of Energy on the solar decathlon?
It's a great challenge. The competition has been around for many years, and so we worked with our dean, Joel Towers, to look at the competition the previous go-around, and we decided this is the perfect place for us to teach our students and also grow along with it to learn and do the best houses possible.
Well, looking at the photographs, and we have these, and I think you can see those on your screen there in your office, is that you're using very advanced technologies and products, but also it's really the process that you're involving in. It's both inside and outside of the home itself. Tell us this balance between the inside and outside to address comfort of the house, but also to protect the environment at the same time.
Yeah, we didn't just think about the house and the house's energy. We thought about the total energy and resources that are coming to this house. So working with another group of students at Milano, the Urban Policy Group, here at the new school, we work to develop a low-impact development site, and also to create a learning garden down the street where all the things that we learned could be broadcast to the community. So we worked with various types of strategies to deal with the water, and some of the most interesting ones are actually dealing with public water. So our site actually takes the water from the street and slows it down and keeps the city from. It's a kind of pilot project for them to look at, trying to stop the problem with water in large rains. So.
Well, I know that you're using very advanced technology, so these houses are not simple homes anymore. There's a lot of complexity, and we're looking at some of that complexity here as far as the air exchangers, combined with increased levels of insulation both in the walls and the roofs, and then of course much better and tighter windows you're using in these structures. How do you balance that so that you know when you have sufficiency and not overkill in both the products and the technologies that you're using?
Well, I would say that we're actually using simple technology. That was really what we were looking to do. It's just how we're using it. You said this earlier. So we've added a few pieces of equipment that most houses don't have. That ventilating system is something that most houses don't have, and it brings fresh air to the house. And we spent a lot more time detailing the exterior envelope. The windows are much better than normal windows. Our energies in a balance gain more energy than they lose in the year because they're so well designed. But the primary thing that we did is we worked as a team to work through energy modeling programs, a pretty straightforward energy modeling program, but that has a lot of detail. And Kat will talk to you about that when I think she explains Passive House. But that was the key part of it, is that we looked at everything before we started building.
Well, since we have one of your main collaborators here, and Susanne Slater of Habitat for Humanity, I was just going to leave a question for her to ask you, and a little bit about the collaboration that's going on.
Well, Laura, I thought it would be good if you talked a little bit about where the design students came from, what the different disciplines were, and we just enjoyed so much having so many of your students work with us.
Yeah, the students, again, came from all different disciplines. So we had architects from our graduate program, we had interior design students, we had product design students, and we had all these different students look at different issues. We had urban policy students, and actually we also partnered with Stevens Institute of Technology across the river to help us with our engineering. They were awesome partners as well. So we had civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering students working on the project. Well, and they all worked side by side, to all 200 of them.
Well, that's incredible, the amount of brain power you could put to it. And I know that you're using these houses to collect data as far as the energy efficiency and the energy use. So yes. Tell us a little bit about that process, and then also how does that then become involved and rolled back in to the next structures, and also even fine-tuning the Empower houses that you're working on right now?
Well, monitoring is very important for us and for Susan and all of our partners, actually. We predicted that the houses will produce as much energy as the homeowners use, but a lot of energy use comes from homeowner habits. And so our energy monitoring system is going to help the homeowners to see how they're using energy and how they could improve and do better. And in fact, the side-by-side comparison with two houses is a really great opportunity for us to see what's going on.
Well, I think I wanted to follow up, and that was a perfect segue right into this, is how in this competition that you were looking at a single house, but actually you turned it into a side-by-side. So tell us a little bit about the thought process that went into that, and how do you see that actually benefiting what Habitat is doing and what they're looking at in the future to expand on the passive house designs and the processes that you're going to be using?
Well, early on we kept saying better together. And I think we believe that in many, many ways, and that's true with the house too. The house actually is more energy efficient when it's a more compact arrangement, and so the side-by-side character makes it more energy efficient. But it also creates a denser community. The houses are close to the subway, close to a park, and we were very interested in, when starting our conversations with Habitat, to make sure we weren't just building a single-family house in an urban setting, but rather following the model of an urban pattern that allows for a denser situation of housing, but also a great quality.
Well, looking at some of the slides that we've actually shared with our viewers here and abroad, these are very open, airy, a lot of natural light. But then when you look at just the water system and shedding the water from the envelope itself and going out into the rain gardens, I mean, this is just really a high quality house, and it looks like something that would be in any upscale neighborhood, no matter where you are in Washington, D.C. or anywhere in the globe.
One of the key parts of that is our daylighting, which we had a great set of lighting students working with us to get the windows right size. So even though the house is small, it doesn't feel like it at all. I mean, compared to American standards, right? It's a very efficient but very beautiful, well-lit house.
Well, and also looking at the, we'll use this, the curb appeal of the house, where you're actually taking the rain gardens out to the edge of the street, and you're really inviting the storm water to come into the facility so it can be used as gray water for the gardens and other uses. Tell us a little bit about that, and we have about 40 seconds left, so they'll have to be quick.
Well, we did a layered approach to the water, so we have a cistern underground, and we have the rain gardens that collect water from the street that slow the water down. The cisterns collect the water, so the homeowners don't have to use the city water to water their plants. They're using the water that's coming down on their property.
Well, we have just a few seconds left. Future for Parsons and collaboration on the passive house concept.
Yeah, well, we are working right now with Habitat for Humanity of Philadelphia, so Susan's neighbor up the road, to help them to develop a set of houses similar to the one that we just finished with DC. And again, we're hoping to work with DC down the road to help them as they go to larger projects.
Well, Laura Briggs, Chair of Sustainable Architecture, the School of Constructed Environments, Parsons, the new School for Design in New York City. Thank you for being with us. Excellent job as we create the Emerald Planet.
Around the world, 1 out of every 3 women will be beaten or otherwise abused in their lifetime, often by a family member or loved one. A future free from violence. It's all she's ever wished for.
Did you know you have the power to stop children from joining gangs? You can help a father find a job and home for his family. You can assist a woman who can't afford the medicine she needs to live and the home she can't live without. You can choose to make a difference in our community. Support Volunteers of America, and you can help improve the lives of nearly 2 million Americans each year, with programs and services that help individuals and families overcome their challenges to become as independent as possible. Support the programs that are working in our community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
For some folks, saving for the future is easy, but for you, it might take a little more effort. Saving for your future is your responsibility, and there's a lot to save for.
I never thought of that.
like your child's education, perhaps uncovered medical expenses, or just to be sure you can live the way you want when you retire. The time is now to save for tomorrow. Save now or work forever. The choice is yours. Choose to save.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we look around the globe in 144 different nations looking for the 1,000 best practices that are making a difference as we move towards 2050 and we add 2 billion new souls to the planet. So with the challenges we have with 7 billion to provide housing and basic care, how we're going to be able to address this issue of quality housing at the same time to protect the environment. We have an organization that has dedicated itself for a number of years, both overseas and in North America, looking at these issues of balancing the economy of construction and housing, but at the same time how to protect, not only just protect, but actually enhance the environment. Katrin Klingenberg is the co-founder and executive director of PHIUS Institute US. And we're saying U.S. because I believe the headquarters are started over in Europe. So, Katrin, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Hi, thank you.
Glad to have you with us. And we're going to put up some slides as you and I chat away. And also Susanne Slater, who you've been working with very closely, the President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity in D.C., is going to be with us. In case by happen chance we lose you by Skype, we'll continue with the story of PHIUS. But tell us a little bit about the PHIUS Institute and how it got started in the U.S.
Yeah, the PHIUS Institute in the U.S. Was started in 2007 already. And at that point, we could already see that there would be quite a bit of interest very soon to come in this type of construction. And we founded the PHIUS Institute US to help educate the general public, but also first and foremost, we were hoping to facilitate trainings for professionals to allow folks to learn about these construction techniques and technologies and implement them accurately in various climates in the United States.
One of the things that you hear of many times when people start talking about highly energy efficient houses and actually with solar generating their own power, they're saying, well, do these look different than other houses, and how do I know whether it's a passive house or is this a regular stick-built home? Yet when you look at all of your structures and design, they just look like all the houses on the same street.
Yes, and that's really great news. Initially, I think a lot of folks thought that passive houses had to be boxy and they needed to look very modern. But the recent generation of European passive houses, well, that's how they like it in Europe. And the good news is that you can make a passive house look like any house that you would like to see on the block, as you can see right here in the Bethesda house. Architect David Peabody took the American Foursquare, and this is a fantastic example of a very excellent passive house project.
Well, when you look at this, Katrin, as it really looks like it was built in the Victorian era, and it fits right into all the houses that you have within that area. But going on, and we're going to a very different style here, but what exactly is a passive house?
Well, a passive house essentially is a very simple concept. We are assuming that we start with free energy, essentially. We're going to look at the building as something that has already internal heat sources in it because of people, because of appliances, because of lighting. And also, of course, windows deliver a certain amount of energy. And if we design the envelope smartly, then we can use a lot of this already present energy to provide a lot of the heating in a building. Now, if we move further south into cooling-dominated areas, then this is a different story. At that point, those internal heat gains, they are not as desired, of course. At that point, we want to keep the sun out. We want to have good shading devices. So, but in most climates of the United States, any combination of those, a very well-insulated envelope, very airtight, very good windows and doors, at that point, good shading measures, they should lead to a building that is essentially heated and cooled in a passive way.
Well, looking at the photograph we have here, and of course we saw the earlier house. It looks like something that's straight out of the Victorian style of turn-of-the-century type home, and now we're looking at a very modernistic looking house. But they're very open, they're airy, spacious. And so when you're looking at from that type of style and design, what are some of the uniqueness that you're using or incorporating into the style itself that gives you this very open feeling, but yet still gives you the energy efficiency and the reduction of power demands?
Yes, I think you're pointing out one really, really great benefit here of passive houses, and that is the daylighting. We want light, we want windows so that we have some solar gain, and that leads to very open and light-filled spaces. So the quality is almost always exceptional. And also open spaces, designs, that is also very beneficial for passive houses because the interior air likes to move and move around, and the different temperatures need to be distributed throughout the space. So modern design fits passive house perfectly, light and open spaces.
Well, looking at the natural convection, so the air does move throughout the structure, whether it's winter or summer, you're really designing your houses for the natural environment. And also, I think you pay close attention to the orientation of the house as far as sunrise and set, and also any natural vegetation, either it's existing or that you can add. How do you incorporate, again, what's inside the house and the outside environment so one complements the other?
Well, that is, of course, up to the designer. The designer will have to assess where the project is located, and not every project has perfect southern access, and that is the great news here for passive house as well. If you're not as fortunate and you don't have a perfect southern-facing lot, that is not a problem, because at that point you might just want to focus a little bit more on the envelope of the building, and that makes up for potentially not having such a great solar access.
Well, one of the things you're seeing in urban areas as the United States now, we found out, is almost 80% urban, even though we have a huge natural landscape. As we move towards more urban designs, we see something here that looks like a duplex, but also it looks like it actually has storefront capability, which really harkens back to the turn going from the 19th into the 20th century, where your urban middle class really grows out of these types of structures of tightly compacted row houses, but at the same time various business opportunities within the same structure.
Yes, and the energy savings are, of course, also very, very beneficial for renovations and retrofit projects in the urban existing fabric. So passive house is a general goal of energy savings. We're looking at energy savings of overall 70 to 75%. And if we can apply those technologies and strategies in existing buildings, then that will be a great contribution to progress in terms of energy reduction and CO2 emission reduction.
Well, Susan's here very patiently making sure that you and I stay connected, but at the same time, since you've worked so closely together, I actually wanted her to ask the next question.
Katrin, hello. I just wanted to thank you so much for all that you did for our staff in working with the Empower House. And I thought you might talk a little bit about how you work with people such as the many volunteers and many young staff people who are so excited about Passive House, how you work with them at the Empower House project.
Yes. So, I'm not entirely sure. Have you spoken with Laura Briggs already?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So people are aware. She was really the driving force behind the project. Very forward-looking faculty, a member professor at Parsons. She invited us to join the project as an advisor, and she had us come in to the class, and we're critiquing the designs, working with the students. We're also giving them feedback on the actual energy modeling that has to happen for this project. I think in general, it is really great news that the young folks are so interested in this, and they really take to it, and they really want to learn these techniques and technologies, and they don't feel that it is something that hampers their design desire. And I think the Empower House is a fantastic example, because the students really managed to create a beautiful project. Again, light-filled, energy-efficient, open spaces, beautiful, this bodes well for our education that architecture students are taking to this. And I'm really glad that you, from the Habitat side, that you're reaching out to the students and that you're sponsoring these projects and that you lead by example. It's wonderful.
Katrin, we're almost out of time. We have about a minute and a half left. How does a home become certified as a passive house?
We work with certified passive house consultants who go through our training, and they submit the project documentation for a project that would be the energy model. That's what we would need. We would need all the drawings, and then we see if those two things match up. Through Passive House Institute US, then there's also a quality assurance process. You will have to verify and hire a rater on site. We need to make sure that the building actually then also gets built to the specifications that were certified during the design review. And once all this is done and the blower door test is passed, very airtight challenge for passive houses. 0.6 is almost airtight. Once that test has been passed, then we can actually issue the label Certified Passive House.
Well, we're just about out of time. 10 seconds, got to be quick. What do you see for the future of collaboration with Habitat?
I hope there will be a Habitat chapter of the Passive House Alliance in the United States.
I hope so too.
Fantastic. Thank you for being with us and sharing about the Passive House Institute US. Katrin Klingenberg, co-founder, executive director. Thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Too many women get hit by their boyfriends and husbands. Too many women are pressured into having unprotected sex. Half of the people in the world living with AIDS are women. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can change this reality. Let's strive for a world free of violence.
At Volunteers of America, we don't just give kids a way to stay off the streets. We give them the tools they need to reach their full potential. We don't just help the elderly receive needed care. We help them live life to the fullest. We don't just provide food for homeless individuals and families. We provide job training and placement so they can buy groceries. Volunteers of America is a national organization that for over 100 years has provided programs and services that allow people to overcome their challenges to become vital members of their community. At Volunteers of America, we don't just help people, we help people help themselves. Find out how you can support the programs that are working in your community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
Drivers face all kinds of distractions.
Guys, stop playing now. 127 consecutive.
Before your wireless phone becomes one of them, stop. Drive safely. Keep your phone in easy reach and dial sensibly. In bad weather or traffic, call later and use a hands-free device. Remember, with wireless, safety is your call.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet and the Emerald Planet TV. And we come to you weekly talking about the very best technologies, the services, the products, and the people that are making a difference in over 144 nations around the globe to bring about an increasing quality of life as we go to add 2 billion new souls to the planet by 2050. One of the major issues, of course, is housing, but also what are we looking for in the community to bring about an increased quality of life, level of existence, so that people feel like they're actually contributing to society. We have a gentleman that's been involved for a number of years in an international organization called Rotary International. With me is Howard Davis. He's the past president of the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C. And also he's the project chair of the Habitat for Humanity Passive House. And Howard, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, you did an outstanding job in your year as president, and we thank you for all your hard work. It's like you have this new 100% new job. Now, by the way, you have to keep your old job going at the same time.
That's true.
But you really wanted to do something different as Rotary moved into its next 100-year life cycle. And you were looking for something that was going to be long-term in the community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Rotary itself, as an organization, was formed in 1905. The Washington, D.C. chapter was formed several years later, 46th in the organization. When we came up to our 100th anniversary, we decided to look around for a special project. And we looked at a number of different alternatives, and we were looking for something that would be local, something that would be lasting in the community. And we happened upon, came upon a discussion and a meeting with Habitat and decided that that would be a great opportunity for the Rotary Club. It did just about everything that we were looking for, and we've been delighted with the association so far.
Well, I think that's going to continue. Habitat has a very long history, and of course you are actually becoming a partner both with volunteers and money. Being a member of the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C. myself, we're contributing that, but also to include you know, the Passive House Institute and the Parsons the New School for Design, and many others. And so looking at Rotary over its history, what has it done to foster collaboration and outreach into the communities?
Rotary is all about service to the community. When the organization was first formed, it was the local community, and with the assistance of Rotary International, clubs in individual cities can collaborate with one another and perform international projects, which is really what has made Rotary so unique. That's one of the things that Rotary is known for. One of the, doesn't have to do with the Habitat House, but the Rotary's work in eradicating polio is something that's been an international effort and is perhaps one of the things that Rotary International, is best known for.
Well, I think the whole thing of Rotary International reaching out to the community, being involved in community development projects, but also international, fits very nicely into the Passive House and what Habitat is doing right here. And Katrin Klingenberg, who is the co-founder and executive director of Passive House Institute, You've been very involved in the project that Rotary is financially sponsoring and also with the volunteers. How do you see the future of Rotary and other such organizations, Katrin, of involving the community, but also to broaden the collaborative base within these communities?
Well, I think the Rotary Club could have a really, really important role here to take these projects to a much higher public profile than we have so far. There are quite a few Habitat certified passive houses actually going on around the country in many various climate zones, and we need more of those as prototypes and as demonstration projects. And of course, DC is bringing it right back home, but if we can build more of these demonstration projects around the country, that would be fantastic.
Well, and looking at, we have some of the people you're looking at right here are Rotarians, and of course with Howard's great leadership as president, now past president, the Rotary itself involves a number of volunteers and its other various projects. So Howard, looking at Passive House and the experience that we've been having with the Habitat, how do you see that actually increasing and enhancing this collaboration among Rotary and many other organizations within the community?
The opportunity that this has presented has been tremendous. We really had no idea initially that this was going to be as much of a cutting-edge project as it has been. And the more attention that this great project brings to Habitat, it also brings to the good work that Rotary is doing. It really fits together well in that we were able to assist with this house and also can volunteer to actually build it as well. So we're very happy about that.
Well, Katrin, looking at Rotary and what Howard just had to say here, we're having a three-way conversation as you can tell. But looking at the design of the house, how do you feel that having Rotary, which really is a very prestigious international organization, 34,000 clubs, about 1.3, 1.4 million members around the globe, how this really spreads the issue of energy efficiency and having comfortable homes, but at the same time protecting the environment?
I think it's fantastic. The Rotary Club can really, really take the lead here to take this concept not only around the country, but as you say, around the world. And we need it worldwide. We need to make an impact. We need to build our homes better to help the environment to stay on track. And absolutely, thank you for your involvement in this Empower House to start.
Well, Howard, we know we have the Future Visions program, which is really looking at the international and then the community service committee at the local level. How do you see that this collaboration really enhancing Future Visions, which is a fairly new phenomenon as far as Rotary is concerned, and they're really looking to the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C. to give it feedback about this as this process matures. What do you think we're learning as best practices that will help move Future Visions forward?
Well, certainly this is this project is the first of its kind, and it would be nice if we could actually expand this with Rotary's assistance throughout the world. I just heard earlier in the program that the project is going to be moving to Philadelphia, and we can hope that it can continue to grow. I know that the Rotary organization in Philadelphia may well be interested in getting involved as well. But the Future Vision process is one which allows individual Rotary clubs to work on international projects. So it really lends itself to some of the great work that is being done with Habitat and maybe internationally.
Yeah, and also with the Passive House and the Parsons School, which is not here with us right now, but has been a great collaborator. But why do you think the members of the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C. is willing to give their time, but also their money into this kind of process and willing to share of so much of their treasure to do something like this?
The Rotary motto is service above self. And that really is what is the driving force behind all of the projects that Rotary puts together. The Habitat project is ideal in the sense that it allows us to financially support a project and also have an opportunity to participate in it as volunteers. The opportunity to do both of those don't always come up in the same project. So this is a terrific opportunity for us.
Well, Katrin, looking at Passive House Institute, what do you think that you've learned from your relationship with the Rotary International, being involved in the Passive House project in Washington, D.C., but also collaborating with the Parsons School and Habitat here? And where do you see this may take you as an institute in the future in collaborating with Rotary?
Well, I can tell you that this is incredibly important because I'm not sure many people are aware that Habitat indeed right now is the 6th largest developer in the nation, and they have a very unique model on overcoming the additional upfront cost for Passive House. So sponsors and funders, just like the Rotary Club, are incredibly critical to make these projects happen. And I, of course, hope that the Rotary Club will be able to also help the Passive House movement and the implementation of Passive House as best building practices. This is our vision by the end of 2020, by the end of these next 6 years or so, to make a real impact in the building industry and to help to reduce the CO2 emissions that are related to buildings.
Well, looking at this, Howard, the challenge has been laid to us as far as the environment is concerned, but also providing a very comfortable, safe, and energy efficient environment as far as these houses are concerned. How do you see that what our members are learning from this experience that you think can carry on the enthusiasm for just the service above self, but Rotary itself as we move through towards 2050?
I believe that most Rotarians were aware of all the great work that Habitat has done throughout the years. To be involved in a project that is involved with the Passive House movement really just adds another layer to it. And our members are very enthusiastic. I think some of the slides that have been shown have shown some of the Rotarians that attended some of the informational sessions. And I know that everybody's really very much looking forward to this. So it's a great project.
Well, we're running out of time, Howard and Katrin, but as past president, what have you learned from this experience? About 15 seconds worth.
What have I learned about this project or this process? Takes a fair amount of time to put together a great project like this, and I think that the results are really going to be wonderful once it's in place. So I think we're...
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it was great having Katrin Klingenberg, co-founder, executive director of Passive House, to stay with us. And Howard, thank you for being with us. And glad to have you out.
Thanks very much.
And thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald